Chair and Senators, I'm accepting the recommended amendments under staff comment 5 of the analysis, and we'll continue working on this language to address opposition concerns, and we'll keep the committee apprised of any changes. Today I'm presenting Assembly Bill 1431, which will expand the job order contracting program available to the Los Angeles Unified School District to all school districts in California. Job ordering contracting develops a unit price catalog with specific construction tasks and unit prices that reflect local prevailing wages. These construction tasks range from roof replacement and repairs to ADA compliance modifications to security projects and lab replacements. By using job ordering contracting, LAUSD has been able to save an average of 9.2% in project costs and cut project delivery time in half. I have a few witnesses to speak in support of the bill.
Thank you. In support of the bill, please.
This is Mark Hovatter, Chief Facility Executive for Los Angeles Unified School District. We've been very fortunate to have had this program with us. It's a pre-priced, competitively bid contract. It allows us to enter into a contract very quickly. It allows us to work with the contractor because it's already been established who the contractor is. The price is already locked down, so we can easily go in. There's less arguments, less change orders. It's very quick for us. As with any new program that we have had a few kinks with this because it was a demonstration program. We've been able to correct most of those. We look forward to being able to join the current one to try to clean it up a little bit more and make it even more effective than we've had in the past.
Okay, thank you. Others in support?
Madam Chair, Member Cesar Diaz on behalf of the State Building Trades Council. We believe the shared goals and partnership between LAUSD and the building trades unions has allowed for local workers and contractors, both union and non-union, to accomplish over 3,300 job order contracts for the district. This total more than $300 million and have reduced the district's cost for these types of projects by 9.2% of their total procurement. This bill also extends the benefits of using job order contracting in conjunction with a project labor agreement, as the pilot program did in Los Angeles Unified School District. And just to note, project labor agreements do encourage local hire. They encourage helmets or hard hats programs, which hire veterans, women, disadvantaged communities, and target training of apprenticeship program slots within the communities that are actually paying for the construction project. We believe they're a highly valuable tool that should be an option as well in conjunction with JOC. Should a district look at this and say they wish to accomplish JOC, they can use it in conjunction with a project labor agreement. Thank you.
Okay, others in support?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Brooks Ellison on behalf of the Gordian Group, consultant to LAUSD on JOC, here to answer any questions.
Okay.
Rex DiMartini with the Gordian Group, here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any others in support of the bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Mitch Seaman with the California Labor Federation, also here in support of the bill. We would associate ourselves with the previous comments of the supporters and just emphasize that we think it's a program that, based on the evidence that's already been presented in the pilot project, really does offer a win for all stakeholders involved. It protects the right of workers. It offers a project that comes in less time and under budget, and in a variety of other ways make sure that these projects do everything they're supposed to do, and we urge your support.
Thank you. In support?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Leangela Reed on behalf of the Small School Districts Association, in strong support.
Thank you. Any others in support? Is there opposition to the bill?
Good morning again, Madam Chair and members. Richard Markson here representing the Western Electrical Contractors Association, the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors of California, the Air Conditioning Trade Association, and Associated Builders and Contractors of San Diego and of California, in strong opposition to AB 1431. We are strongly opposed to any state mandate for project labor agreements, and although Mr. Diaz did reference that PLAs and JOC would go together under this measure, I would point out that the language requires the school district to adopt a PLA with a $25,000 threshold for at least 5 years to even experiment with a single JOC contract. This is the first time that we've seen this requirement in state law. And I actually have to commend my colleague with the building trades, because he is using this measure to test the resistance of the state legislature to adopting mandatory PLAs on every public works contract in California. From our perspective, based upon your vote today, this legislature will probably receive a failing grade on fair and open competition. If you want to impose the PLA on JOC, that's fine. And for the life of me, I do not understand why the school districts are not opposing this measure that requires the PLA on every job with a $25,000 threshold for 5 years in order to even test the viability of job order contracting. Job order contracting was developed to implement and to ease small construction projects. Even the proponents of PLAs frequently cite large, complex projects like the Hoover Dam as being the best projects that can benefit from PLAs. Job order contracting was not used to build the Hoover Dam. We are strongly opposed, and we urge you to strike this requirement from the bill or to reject the measure in its entirety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any others opposed to the bill? Okay, questions? Senator Leyva.
I just want to thank Assemblymember Gomez for bringing this bill forward and just say that people who benefit from a project labor agreement are the workers. So I strongly support this bill and would move it when appropriate.
Thank you. Any others want to make comments or questions? Assemblymember Gomez, would you like to respond to the opposition?
First, I appreciate the opposition's coming here and testifying. It's definitely, this project, you don't have to do it as a school district. So if you want to utilize the JOC program and the process, you can choose to do it if you think it's going to save you money.
Optional.
It's optional. So you don't have to do it, and that means that you don't have to have a project labor agreement in place to be able to do it. So, he's trying to assume that we're trying to force project labor agreements onto school districts. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just saying that this is a program that saves money, but also a way that we can make sure that by saving the money, it's not on the backs of the workers. And that's what we're trying to accomplish, Mayor. It's a balance. But we believe that as it is, it definitely saves money. And for everybody to understand, it doesn't matter who gives us a failing grade or report cards. We make our decisions based on the best interests of the people of California, and I don't think that any of us take that into account when deciding a vote. So I'd like to say I was personally offended by that, because that's how I make decisions. But I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. There's one other question on page 4 of the analysis. It says that, we just asked, because if we adopt this, there's 2 distinct authorities for JOC. It's either LA Unified or everybody else. And so the question should we just, are there differences? What is the significance of these differences? And whether or not accountability should also be part of the analysis outcomes.
Yeah, we're accepting them as author amends, so we're going to accept
Okay, page. Okay, you're going to incorporate the
Yeah,
LA
correct.
Unified. Okay. All right. Oh, all right. Okay. The amendments were included in the analysis. I mean, as pages 5 through 15 are quite extensive. So we'd like you to articulate what they do.
You want me to walk through each one?
No, well, just generally, not 10 pages of it. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
it's just the LAUSD part. Just clarify that you're incorporating the LA County or LA Unified School District's bills provisions into yours.
Madam Chair, members,
Yes,
if I
help him
may.
with this.
Yes, having the analysis in front of me as well and working with your committee staff, which has been a great process, we believe this bill has been vastly improved with both amendments, staff amendments and comments 5 and 6. You're correct. What it's doing is creating uniformity within the statute to delete LAUSD existing authority that basically is given to it alone, and then incorporating their authority within this new bill, but also keeping some of those protections that were incorporated into the statute, not deleting those as well, like having a payment resolution committee process being established, and then keeping some of the important records and cost-effectiveness comparisons that are included in the LAUSD statute alone. So those author amendments will continue to see that, plus also provide the uniformity in the statute.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, comments? Bill has been moved. Please call the roll.
Do pass as amended to appropriations. Lou?
Aye.
Lou, aye. Renner?
No.
Renner, no. Block? Block, aye. Hancock? Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Monning? Monning, aye. Pan? Pan, aye. Vidak? Vidak, no. It's 5-2.
5-2, sufficient for passage. We'll keep the roll open for our absent members.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, DeBobne, item 2, is he here? Not, oh, yes, there he is. Okay, fine. Item 2, AB 147. That's yours, yeah. Thank you. Okay, welcome to committee.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Senators. AB 147 is a reasonable and humane proposal to retire the dogs and cats used in taxpayer-funded research laboratories by allowing them to be placed up for adoption at the conclusion of this research. As a result of hearing from my constituents and residents from across our state, I have discovered that this opportunity for post-research life is complicated and a rare occurrence. Although many federal, state, and academic institutional policies exist that cover detailed aspects of the dog and cat's life during the research process, there is little to almost no guidance to determine what happens after this research has concluded. I'd also like to say that I appreciate the chair's work to help clarify the intent of the bill, and I accept the proposed amendments with understanding that the health of the animal will be the only criteria considered in determining whether an animal will be suitable for adoption or not. Of course, this is still the decision of these universities and research institutions to make. Truly, this really comes down to a simple principle, that we have these animals in our research institutions to provide better information for our own health and well-being. We meet to make sure that we keep a high standard of integrity during the research. I know the researchers truly do care about these animals in most situations and want to make sure that these animals aren't unnecessarily euthanized. So this bill simply says, let these research institutions decide what animals are healthy enough based on this criteria to be adopted, and let's make sure they are. For institutions that already have a program in place, that will be obviously the first option. For those institutions that don't have a program in place to adopt these animals, we're simply asking them to allow a 501c nonprofit animal welfare organization to step in, have an opportunity to adopt these animals out, and prevent them from being euthanized unnecessarily. AB 147 also addresses any concern of liability to make sure that these academic institutions are not held liable for any future considerations. AB 147 would simply give those animals who have endured so much for medical and scientific research the opportunity not to just be adopted, but really become part of someone's family. We have several supporters today to speak on this bill as well, and I just want to thank you for your consideration.
Okay, in support of the bill.
Madam Chair and members, Christopher Castrillo on behalf of the State Humane Association of California. Our Executive Director, Erica Hughes, wanted to be here herself, but she's home with a very sick child, so I'll be providing her testimony for her. For over 100 years, the State Humane Association of California has advocated on behalf of our state humane societies and SPCAs, nonprofit animal adoption organizations that work tirelessly day in and day out to rehome our lost and abandoned animals. Those organizations, many of which have opened their doors in the late 1800s, have been an integral part of the heart and souls of our communities. Organizations such as the Pasadena Humane Society and SPCA, SPCA Los Angeles, San Diego Humane Society and SPCA, Berkeley Berkeley Humane, Inland Valley Humane Society, Silicon Valley, Santa Cruz SPCA, SPCA from Monterey County, Sacramento SPCA, Central California SPCA, to name a few. These are not fly-by-night operations. These are organizations with annual budgets of $5, $10, up to $20 million, organizations that are deeply rooted in their communities. These organizations that provide a safety net for animals with nowhere else to turn. We're in strong support of AB 147. Not only does it provide for a safety net for dogs facing euthanasia, but it enables covered colleges and universities to form collaborative relationships with animal shelters in their communities. Moreover, AB 147 is a bill that each one of us can get behind. Regardless of how we may feel about animal experimentation, this bill takes no position on whether experimentation is right or wrong, necessary or unnecessary, moral or immoral. Rather, it simply says that a covered college or university must reach out to an animal adoption or rescue organization, like an SPCA or Humane Society, if the college or university's internal adoption program is unable to provide the dog with a post-research life. We don't believe that's too much to ask. We fear that the University of California's objection is based on fear, and that fear creates a slippery slope. When you look at the actual language of AB 147, it is clear the bill is simply about creating a safety net for dogs that endured and often suffered in laboratories. We are talking about some of our best friends, and we hope that you agree this is not too much to ask. We strongly disagree with some previous statements that have been made about SPCA's and SHAC's ability to find homes for these animals. Our state's SPCA's and humane societies are not only highly capable of finding homes for animals, but finding homes for animals is what they are in the business of doing. In closing, I respectfully urge you to vote in favor of AB 147 and provide a safety net for dogs who spent their lives as the subject of research. These dogs deserve every reasonable chance at a forever home, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, any others in support of the bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Kevin O'Neill, I'm Senior Legislative Director for the ASPCA. And like my colleague with SHAC, we are very supportive of efforts to try to improve outcomes for all adoptable animals and to find homes for all available animals that can be adopted. AB 147 is a very reasonable approach to this goal and still provides educational institutions with the ability to partner with specific 501c3s so they can ensure that those individual 501c3s are ones that are getting the dogs adopted out and getting these animals new forever homes. Like my colleague with SHAC, we were somewhat perplexed by the comments by the opposition that 501c3s are doing an abysmal job of getting animals adopted out. We've seen here in the Sacramento region, Sacramento County claimed a 90% live release rate. Central Valley SPCA recently increased by over 2,700 animals adopted out over last year over the same time period in 2013. San Diego Humane Society has increased their adoption rates, and the SPCA's go on and on and on with those types of statistics. So we feel that 147 is a great opportunity for these animals to find forever homes. It's flexible. It gives educational institutions the ability to partner with the right 501c3s that they want to partner with, and the ASPCA is in strong support of the bill.
Okay, all right, thank you. We have a lineup of folks who are in support of the bill, so please identify yourself and so state.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Chase. I live in Los Angeles. I have 2 former research beagles, and I strongly support this bill.
Good morning. My name is Shannon Keith. I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm an animal rights attorney and president of Beagle Freedom Project, and I support this bill.
My name is Ryan Gordon. I'm the attorney for Beagle Freedom Project also. I have a research beagle myself, and I strongly support this bill. And I live in Los Angeles County.
Hi, I'm Lorna Campbell. I live in Los Angeles, and I have a former research beagle, and I strongly support this bill.
My name is Frances Culp. I live in San Francisco, and I'm here to strongly support the bill, and I hope to adopt a lab beagle one day.
My name is Jane Annis. I live in Sacramento, and we have adopted a wonderful research beagle named Rocky the Wonder Beagle. I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
My name is Jacob Annis. I live in Sacramento, and on behalf of my canine best friend Rocky, I strongly support this bill.
I'm Charles Annis. I live in Sacramento, and I strongly support this bill.
My name is Lori Gentry. I live in Manhattan Beach. I also have a rescued research beagle, and I very strongly support this bill.
My name is Marshall Lowry. I live in El Sobrante, California. I own a one-eyed beagle that was destined for euthanasia, and I support this bill.
My name is Anthony Steinway. I live in Contra Costa County, and I support this bill.
My name is Serena Bantel. I live in San Ramon, California, and I have 2 loving beagles, Daisy and Brody, and I support this bill.
Good morning. My name is Dave Rutan. I live in Manhattan Beach. I support this bill, and I have a former lab beagle named Tommy McGuire.
Hi, my name is Linda Pillard. I live near Woodland. I too have a research beagle. His name is Max, and he's enjoying his freedom, and we support AB 147.
Hi, I'm Jill Hahn from Davis, California, and I have a former research rabbit, and I support this bill.
Hi, I'm Andrea Suarez from Elk Grove, California, and I strongly support this bill. I hope you do too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Don Swartz. I'm from Elk Grove, California, and I support this bill, and I hope you do too.
Jill Larson from Loomis, California, the mother of a 3-year-old beagle adopted from the UC system, who is the love of our life. This bill is vital to me, and I hope you support AB 147.
My name is Amanda Warnick. I live in Walnut Creek, California, and I strongly support this bill.
Okay, thank you very much. Any others in support of the bill? Are there folks opposed to the bill? Please come forward.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Jason Murphy on behalf of the University of California. I wonder if I might be able to request a clarification of the amendments that were agreed to by the author. The way I heard him described a moment ago didn't quite comport with what I understood was going to be the intent of comment number 3.
Sure. Okay. Mr. Author, would you like to clarify the amendments, please?
I believe the bill coming out of the Assembly Committee was an appropriate bill that weighed the balance between making sure the universities had no liability and making sure that the university programs got the first opportunity to adopt the animals out. After working in a bipartisan way on both the committee and on the Assembly floor, it received over 74 votes. In an effort to make sure this bill was moved along in the process through this committee, once again, I decided to take more amendments that I think further clarified, if not in a redundant way, at least in a way that would draw more support. I've done, I think, a reasonable effort to make sure that I'm very clear that this bill allows the research institutions to make the determination whether that animal is healthy enough to be adopted out. Clearly, there are going to be animals that endure this research that are physically or not well enough based on the determination of health to be adopted out into these homes. That has always been left up to the universities to decide. That's never been any type of outside involvement or outside administrative review. This has always been left up to the universities. I do believe the universities have mostly worked in a collaborative effort on this bill. I've tried to address all their concerns. I do believe that there is somewhat of an attempt to misguide on this subject. We've never tried to bring in any kind of outside involvement to determine the health of these animals for the research process to be adopted out. So we took the amendments that this committee recommended. We just wanted to make sure after our meetings and within all the discussions we had that those amendments would still keep the principle that the understanding that the health of the animal will be the only criteria considered when determining whether an animal will be suitable for adoption. We're not defining what the word health means. We're simply saying that these research universities conduct the research. There's a lot of regulations involved in that research. At the end of that research, they still have the only say in whether or not that animal is healthy enough to be adopted out. We just want to make sure that the criteria they use is based on health. Their determination will be left up to them still. We've taken away the liability. We've been very clear that no research institution should face liability once the animal is adopted out. And we've also made sure that, and why we brought this bill back this year and slowed it down from last year, is there was concern that if they had existing programs that those would be trumped by this new legislation. We've allowed those programs to continue, and we applaud. I know Berkeley, I believe Davis, other schools, other institutions have implemented their own adoption policies and programs that have worked and been successful in some cases. We applaud those programs. Those programs still have the first right for adoption. This simply states now that if they don't have a program in place or they don't have an ability to adopt the animal out once it's deemed healthy enough to continue to live and become someone's pet, that then the 501c3 nonprofit animal welfare organization has an opportunity to adopt these animals out before there being a necessary decision for euthanizing them.
Is that clear?
Madam Chair, if I may, I would note that there's a variety of determinations go into whether an animal is suitable for adoption. Health is certainly very critical to that suitability determination, but it's not the only criteria. And I guess as I understood the intent and the purpose of comment number 3, it was with respect to ensuring that the institutions continue to hold the power or the control, whatever you want to call it, over that determination of suitability. And I think that the language we had seen previous to the committee today was designed to preserve that. And while I had frankly come in very prepared today to remove the university's opposition, the reference to health only being the sole determinant is not what I think we had previously been aware of.
Okay, so I agree with you. I mean, but the language in the bill, in the mock-up that we have before us, it says, if the institution assesses the health of the animal and determines, after completing the testing or research, that the animal is suitable for adoption, the animal's destruction is not required and the animal is no longer needed, and if the institution's existing procedures for adopting the animal do not result in an adoption, shall offer the dog or cats to an animal adoption organization or animal rescue organization for adoption prior to euthanizing those animals. Now that's
I agree.
what I thought we agreed to.
I will thank the chair. I think the chair and her staff were very generous with their time and their efforts in making sure we had a compromise. The amendments are clear. It says institutions assess the health of an animal and the animal is suitable for adoption. I must say, I am very surprised that the UCs are continuing to stonewall on this.
But the problem is that you just said only health in your presentation, so they picked up on this.
Well, I would say this, in the amendments, with all due respect, Madam Chair, and I thank you for your work on this, the only criteria that's listed here is health and suitable. The universities still hold the only voice in determining whether or not these animals are healthy enough for adoption. We've not created some new committee or advisory board panel.
I understand that, but I think what's happening is that if you just stop and agree to the language that is in the mock-up, I think we're going to be satisfied.
I don't know how I didn't agree to that. I said very clearly I agree to that.
Just stop, and we agree with the language, and then I think everybody will be satisfied.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment?
Yes.
I certainly did not come today with the intention of stonewalling any further or doing anything of the sort.
I agree.
I would like to be on record to note that suitability for adoption will likely include determinations that are made other than simply the health of the animal. There are a variety of things that go into that. That being said, with the amendments recognized as being adopted as they were intended, the university would remove its opposition.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members, Janet Lopez representing the University of Southern California. Really want to thank the committee staff and your team for their assistance with this. We also are removing our opposition.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, Chairwoman, members, thank you for your work on this bill, and we thank the author for his additional amendments. I represent Amanda Banks, and I represent the California Biomedical Research Association, and we still have opposition to this bill. But we have concerns regarding the liability for our research institutions that other states that have passed these similar bills do not receive in this bill. We feel clear liability language removing the institutions from problems should be included in the language of this current bill. There's also a need for an amendment stipulating that nothing in the language of this bill allows for lawsuits and challenges by outside individuals and organizations to research institutions and their conduct of research under the Animal Welfare Act.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Bob Naylor, representing Stanford University. Again, thank you to the chair and the staff for making this bill a better bill than it was when it came to the committee, but we still have some concerns and we are not withdrawing our opposition.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Any others opposed to the bill? Any questions from members? Senator Runner.
I just have a question right now, and to the author, isn't this done voluntarily by the university system?
So I will tell you, this bill is a great example of a constituent coming to my office and sharing with me her story. And she came to me, her name is Shannon, she's in the audience today. She's adopted these beagles. She started an organization that has made it its sole goal to adopt these animals out. They will get emails from individual researchers at institutions, not in programs sanctioned by the institution, saying, we have these animals, we're going to have to destroy them by this point. Can you send someone to pick them up? And they send their van out in the middle of the night and they pick these animals up. There's a number of success stories. Unfortunately, this is not the policy of the state. This is not, unfortunately, something that's been precedent. We need to make sure that as a state that believes in the humane treatment of animals, that once this research process is over, we have a policy in place to make sure that animals are not unnecessarily euthanized. And this is simple, straightforward, and does this in a way that does not impede with research. It allows universities to make the decision, and it really allows universities to have the first right to adoption as well now. In regards also to the comment that was brought up about liability, we've done, I think, a very thorough job in limiting liability to the point where there is no liability anymore. If there are further suggestions that we can amend the bill in the process to make sure there is no liability, I am fully committed to doing that. I have no desire to see any institution sued for allowing these animals to be adopted out. I will make that very clear in the legislative process going forward. We have no desire to allow this to become a situation where any institution can be sued for allowing these animals to be adopted out.
Is there a possibility you would take an amendment to sunset it out?
The sunset, I don't really think a sunset would be necessary in this case. I will tell you, we've had along the process, every time an amendment's been offered that limits liability, we've taken it. If there's further amendments they'd like to propose that would help limit their liability, I'd be happy to address that. But like I said, that was brought up in both the committees and on the floor of the Assembly. This passed an overwhelming vote. I do believe we've done a lot to make sure that we're accommodating in this bill. But the true definition of health, or whether or not it comes down to suitability, I agree with the language in the amendments. We want to make sure that these institutions have an ability to make the decision, they have the first right to adoption, and if they can't find a suitable, adoptable home for these animals, then when the 501c3s step in. But we're not putting new regulations or guidelines on top of them that would create some kind of burden on the research. It's just not the case.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from members? The bill has been moved. Closing remarks, Assembly Member?
I would just like to thank this committee for the time, the chair for your work on this. I'd like to thank all the grassroots supporters from my district for bringing this to my attention. This really is a true definition of representative democracy, when you can have someone just come off the street into your office to propose an idea to make our community a better place. I do believe that we have to realize that these universities, especially the UCs, but even the four speakers from USC and Stanford, these are federal and state research dollars paid by taxpayers. The people that all testified in support of this bill today are taxpayers, and they should have a say in the process, and they should be able to have redress for their concerns. I think this bill is a simple, straightforward measure that simply will allow more animals in our state to become someone's pet that might otherwise have been euthanized. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, with that, the bill has been moved, so let's call the roll.
Do pass as amended to appropriations. Blue?
Aye.
Blue, aye. Renner? No. Renner, no. Block? Aye. Block, aye. Hancock? Leyva? Aye. Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Monning? Pan? Vidak? Aye. Vidak, aye. It's 4-1.
Okay, you have 4 votes. We'll leave the roll open for our absent members. Okay. Assemblymember Wilk, you have item 7.